Thank you for tuning in, everybody, wherever you're watching from right now. I need you to hear this clearly from the very beginning because everything we are about to talk about hangs on this truth. Deliverance gets you out, but discipleship keeps you free. And if we miss that, we miss the point because God is powerful enough to interrupt addiction in a moment, but he is loving enough to walk with you for a lifetime. And those are not the same thing. Because deliverance is when God pulls you out of the pit, but discipleship is when God teaches you how not to fall back into it. Deliverance is the rescue. Discipleship is the rebuilding. Deliverance breaks the chains. Discipleship teaches you how to live without them. And I know this not as a preacher with a microphone, but as a man who lived in addiction because I didn't get this right the first time or the second or the third because I overdosed 7 times before I finally clicked. 7 times my life should have ended. 7 times my body shut down. 7 times I crossed a line I didn't know how to come back from. And every time God had every right to let me go, but instead he scooped me up. And when I say he scooped me up, I don't mean with anger or lectures or disgust. I mean, he wrapped me in a kind of love I had never known. A love that didn't pretend my addiction wasn't killing me, but also didn't treat me like I was disposable. And here's what I learned in those moments between life and death. Deliverance kept me alive, but it didn't automatically teach me how to live because after the miracle, after the hospital, after the prayer, after the second chance, I still had addict thinking, addict coping, addict reflexes. And if God had only delivered me and not discipled me, I would have walked right back into the same destruction with better intentions and the same outcome because deliverance without discipleship creates confused people who are free but unstable, rescued but untrained, forgiven but undisciplined. And that's why so many people relapse, not because God failed them, not because grace ran out, but because they were pulled out of bondage and never taught how to walk in freedom. Because addiction doesn't just live in the substance, it lives in the system. It lives in the habits. It lives in the thought patterns. It lives in the emotional reactions. It lives in the way we respond to stress and loneliness and boredom and success and failure. And discipleship is the slow, daily, sometimes uncomfortable process where God rechanges and retrains all of that going on in you. Because addiction trained us to escape and discipleship trains us to stay. Addiction trained us to numb and discipleship trains us to feel. Addiction trained us to react and discipleship trains us to respond. Addiction trained us to isolate. Discipleship trains us to connect with people. And when God finally got through to me, when I stopped just asking him to save me again and again and started letting him teach me how to live differently, everything changed. Because I realized God wasn't disappointed in me for needing structure. He was providing it. He wasn't punishing me with discipline. He was protecting me with it. Because deliverance is God doing for you what you cannot do for yourself. But discipleship is God teaching you how to steward what he gave you. And hear me clearly, online family. If deliverance was enough, Jesus wouldn't have said, follow me. He would have said, have a moment with me. But following implies movement, growth, repetition, correction, patience, obedience, and accountability. And that's why getting out of addiction can happen fast, but staying sober takes training. Because real life doesn't stop testing you just because you had a breakthrough. Pressure still comes. Emotions still surface. Triggers still exist. Memories still knock. The enemy still comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And discipleship is what gives you a response when those moments show up. And I want to say this slowly so that it sinks in. Because someone watching needs to hear this. Cravings are not proof you're failing. They're proof that you're healing. Thoughts are not commands. Feelings are not facts. And this discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the guardrail that keeps freedom from driving off a cliff. And I learned this the hard way because after overdose number 7, after God scooped me up yet again, he didn't just say, you're free now. He began to say, let me show you how to live. And that meant changing routines, changing environments, changing influences, changing where I live, changing the way I thought, changing my career, the way that I spoke, the way that I handle stress, and the way that I asked for help. And that process isn't glamorous. It wasn't viral. It wasn't exciting, but it was saving my life. Because discipleship is often quiet work that produces loud freedom later. And I want to encourage you right now, because some of you are discouraged thinking you should be further along than this. But you are exactly where training happens. You are exactly where strength is built. You are exactly where sobriety becomes sustainable. Because freedom isn't maintained by emotion. It's maintained by practice. And if you will stay teachable, stay connected, stay honest, stay consistent, the life you're fighting for will become the life you're living. And now I want to speak hope into you, because you are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. Your past overdoses were not proof that you're hopeless. They were proof that God stayed. And the fact that you are still breathing means He's not done with you. And I want to motivate you to stop chasing moments and start committing to movement. Stop waiting to feel strong and start choosing to be disciplined, because strength follows consistency. Confidence follows commitment. Peace follows practice. And right now, as we come into this moment together, I want to move from preaching into declaration. Not pressure, not manipulation, but alignment with God. So keep your eyes open during this. Stay right where you are. And if this message reflects your story, if you're ready to say yes, not just to deliverance, but to discipleship, repeat this out loud after me. Say, God, I thank you for delivering me. But today I choose to be discipled. I receive not just freedom, but training. Not just rescue, but direction. I declare my mind is being renewed. My habits are being reshaped. My emotions are being healed. My life is being revealed. My life is being rebuilt. I release shame. I release condemnation. I let go of my old ways. I commit to daily growth. I accept guidance. I stay accountable. I will not drift. I will not quit. I choose discipline that protects my freedom. I choose consistency that strengthens my sobriety. And from this moment, I will walk in healing. I will walk in stability. I will walk in purpose. I will walk in lasting freedom. In Jesus' mighty, awesome, amazing, courageous name, I pray. Amen. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been an honor and a blessing. We'll see you on the next one. Stay sober.